if I told you that one of the lead investigators in the Idaho murder investigation has a history of indicting people with fabricated probable cause information? So let's talk about Gary Tolson. He's currently being sued for the wrongful indictment and imprisonment of a murder suspect. And I can see why Ann Taylor would want his training records, because he's a trainer for crisis intervention techniques. Imagine that. There are some outright shocking similarities between the Idaho murder investigation and this case with Dr. Moore. Let's talk about them. March 12th of 2020, Dr. Drake was shot through the window of his chiropractor office after his last patients left in the back, and he died. His wife had just taken out a life insurance policy, and they were having a lot of problems. He had to pay out a lot of money because he was touching patients inappropriately in a few different areas and settled with them. And the marriage probably wasn't the greatest. The investigating officers never considered the wife a suspect. Instead, took her advice to look for another chiropractor that's probably jealous that he's stealing business. It was so casual that they were often texting back and forth throughout the investigation with the wife, who should have been a suspect. Dr. Moore had an alibi. His friend that was the county coroner in that city. See how everything's related in Idaho? And the coroner was threatened by the police after giving the alibi, saying people aren't going to want to work with you for providing that alibi, trying to intimidate a witness. The last patients that left said that they saw a white and tan Ford-style pickup truck lurking around. The accused suspect had a white Toyota Tundra, so it didn't really match the description. So in the probable cause affidavit, they just said a white truck. Sound familiar? Kind of like a 2011 to 2013 Elantra that suddenly became a 2015. There were 2 eyewitnesses that saw a man when they heard a gunshot and asked, "Was that you?" And then the man started running down the street. Dr. Moore didn't match the description at all. Dr. Moore cannot run. And in a lineup, these 2 did not identify Dr. Moore. For obvious reasons, that was not included in the probable cause affidavit. So there was a ton of video of a white truck, no license plate visible, conveniently, and a bunch of random timestamps that didn't really add up, but pieced together it made a compelling story, right? Also, the alley that he was shot from was used as a drive-through for a coffee shop that was owned by one of the investigating officers' relatives, who were never interrogated, never questioned, never supplied as witnesses. So in August, after months of no leads, no real suspect, they brought Moore in for questioning and started interrogating him. And he asked for an attorney several times and was not given one. They were incorrectly claiming that they had enough evidence to charge him with first-degree murder, and Idaho is a death penalty state, and he would get the death penalty. And that was a lie. And they said, if you just say that it was an accident, you just meant to scare him, we'll charge you with second-degree murder, and you won't get the death penalty. Dr. Moore stuck with his story and kept saying, I don't even know this guy. And they pressured him and lied to him, and eventually he said it was an accident, whatever. And so the 3 officers involved in that confession now have charges brought against them because it was coercion, they were using a lot of tactics, they didn't honor his right to have an attorney present, and there really is no other solid evidence in the probable cause affidavit besides that confession, so the charges were dropped. However, the police have never looked for another suspect, and so he was never fully exonerated in that town, has shunned them, and his business is ruined, and his life that he built in that community has completely been turned upside down. And so I can imagine why Ann Taylor would want those training documents. He's a trainer in crisis intervention. And did he have any reprimands? Did he learn anything from the situation? Or did they just put him on more cases? No problem. You're good.